Hello, welcome back to NPC Stories. Side quests play an important part in any campaign. Sometimes your players just need a break from the main plot and the main villain, and sometimes side quest leads to something bigger, like loot, new enemies, or new allies. NPCs tend to be an important part of a side quest, whether they are the ones giving it, helping you through it, or the victim or target of it. These NPCs that I have for you today are going to come with a little extra information about their quests and the role that they play in it. Each of these quests in its current written state is appropriate for different ranges of levels. I will talk more about that when we get there. In the meantime, let's get started. Nielorn Wildsinger is an elven ranger that serves as the protector of a very small town sitting on the edge of a fey forest. Formerly a ranger for the elves themselves, the Silva, not the Rava, he left them to be with the woman he loved, a human named Greta, who he saved from an owlbear attack many years ago. They have a teenage half-elven daughter named Neris, who you can learn more about in this video. Nielorn's family is his world, and he would do anything to protect them. Nielorn is average height with long dark hair, green eyes, and sun-tanned skin. He is lean and lithe but muscled and carries both a longbow and 2 short swords. Hide armor protects him and hides the long, jagged scars left by the owlbear that nearly killed his wife. He has a personal vendetta against them and wears one of their pelts as his cloak. Nielorn, as protector of the town, keeps a wary eye on strangers and outsiders. He tends to be straightforward and brutally honest with people, and all of his years living amongst the humans have not shaken his habit of concealing his emotions, which makes him a little disorienting to talk to. Nielorn both has a quest and will aid you on the quest if you are a low enough level. Bandits have been harassing travelers on the road and are growing bolder and closer to the town. Normally this is something Nielorn would just handle on his own, but a recent injury has left him feeling less than his best. Depending on whether or not Nielorn accompanies the players, this quest is appropriate for levels probably 1 through 3. Reginald Crystalis is the only child and heir to the Crystalis fortune. His parents were only able to conceive him with the aid of magic, and so they treated him as though he were sacred and fragile. Thus he grew to feel distant from others his age, all except his parents' ward, a young boy named Chris. They became steadfast friends, and as they grew older, they grew into something more. Reginald, or Reggie, is taller than average and muscular. Despite his mother's objections, he managed to train with the other nobles and the knights. He has medium-length strawberry blonde hair and a dashing goatee. He has green eyes, and should you catch him with his shirt off, a birthmark over his heart in the shape of a horned devil's head. He tends to carry a long sword, a shield, and a dagger. Reggie is bold, as his parents constantly told him how important and miraculous he was. He has an instinct to protect those that he perceives as weaker than him, even if his perception is skewed. He is an exceptional horseman and has a warhorse named Indomitable, who he calls Dom. Reggie has been kidnapped, and his mother, Chantal Crystalis, is offering 1,000 gold pieces to any adventurers who will bring back her son and bring his kidnapper to justice. Christoph Redhide is the tiefling kidnapper. The child of a devil, no one ever really wanted him. His own warlock father passed him off to the Crystalis family after they agreed to have him magically aid them in conceiving a child. The family did not enjoy their duty, but took the marked toddler in and cared for them as best they could. Ashamed of his appearance and eager to see the rest of the outside world, he used his fiendish connections to strike a bargain that allowed him to hide under the guise of human skin. The only person who ever truly appreciated him as he is Reginald Crystalis, the child his father helped to conceive. As children, their friendship ran deep, and as they grew, it grew deeper. Reginald's parents found out and they were forbidden to see each other, but still they spent their nights creeping back into each other's arms. At last, unable to bear being apart any longer, the two came up with a plan, to flee the land together and ransom the heir for a hefty sum so that they could support themselves while they looked for a more permanent living situation. Chris, in his natural tiefling form, has long, blood-red hair, just a shade darker than his red skin. His pupilless eyes seem to burn with an orange-gold fire, and his forked tail flicks behind him. With black ram-like horns curling back through his hair, he is a hellish sight. So most of the time he disguises himself as a young human man, with a shock of red hair, fair skin, and freckles. He carries a finely crafted dagger bejeweled with a hellstone in the pommel that serves as the focus for his hellish magic. Chris has spent most of his life trying not to offend his family and getting people to like him, so he is shy but friendly and eager to please. But Reggie comes first in his mind and his heart, and he would do anything to protect him. No matter what guise he wears, the blood in his veins is laced with hellfire, and sometimes, especially if he is frightened or angry, it gets the better of him, and he hurts people even if he doesn't mean to. Chris and Reggie will do almost anything to avoid being separated again, but their general strategy, as before, is to run away. This quest is fairly flexible as far as level goes. Chris and Reggie don't want to kill anybody, though they may knock them unconscious just so they can get away. It's more of a moral dilemma. Do you take the young lovers back to his mother, where they're going to be separated again, or are they in the right and do they get to flee? Ribera used to be an elf, a Rava, but she left her people to raise her young children away from their war. She suffered a difficult pregnancy, leaving her in a gradually declining state of health. And as a druid, she was closely connected to the land and the forest, which was being harvested by a nearby lumbering town. She did her best to dissuade them from their continued destruction, but her body was fading fast. In the end, she discovered a dark ritual that would give her a new body, one that would never age or feel the wear of time, one that would allow her to protect her forest. So with her dying breaths and the aid of an old friend, she performed the ritual to become a wood woad. Cutting out her heart, placing a seed inside, placing that within a tree, watering it with her blood, and then burying her body in the roots. It's a dark ritual. I wasn't kidding. It's in the book, too. I didn't make it up. Over the next week, her new body sprouted, heartless and with one duty, to protect the forest. Yezra the Wood Woad looks like a tall humanoid made of wood. Her eyes are nothing more than floating motes of light, and a jagged tear in the bark of her chest would hold her heart, if she had one. Yezra tries to determine intentions before attacking. Usually she does this just by quietly observing. If she does approach a group, she speaks very little, only answering questions that she deems relevant or necessary. She is heartless and has no emotion and no mercy. The people of what was formerly a mill town are plagued by the presence of a forest guardian. It will not allow them to do their work and has in fact killed some of their lumberjacks and anyone who has gone in to fight it. They don't have much, but can offer free lodging, free food, and maybe 20 gold pieces to anyone willing to get rid of this forest menace. Now you can use the standard wood woad that is in Volo's guide and has a challenge rating of 5, or you can amp it up like I did for my level 8 players and give it some druidic class features and spells. And there are some NPCs and their side quests. As always, I hope this was somehow helpful or inspiring to you. You can let me know by liking this video, or you can find me on Twitter at NPC Stories. If you want to see more NPCs in the future, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I am going to be on vacation next week, which means no video, and I am far too lazy to think 2 weeks in advance and decide what I'm going to be talking about then, so it's just going to be a surprise, and you're going to have to tune in and find out.